was saying good evening, but it looks like afternoon now, so I'll say good afternoon instead. All right, well, we have collision and citation statistics today. Last month, the area around Dulce had about 40 reportable traffic collisions. 14 of those involved some injury. There were, of those, let's see, 6 of them that were actually DUI related, but of the 6, only 2 of them had injury. So the predominance were just property damage or injury, but not DUI related. There was one reported fatality traffic collision which occurred on the 31st, last day of the month. That occurred here on Sierra Highway, right around Sierra Summit. As far that collision is still under investigation, but as far as we can see, the only thing we have is one vehicle traversing across the double yellows into another vehicle. The reasons for that driver's action are unknown or undetermined yet at this point, but there doesn't seem to be anything criminal related to the case itself. It's just an unfortunate incident as far as we see it right now. In the month of May, though, we did have 12 DUI arrests. There were 3 reported felony arrests in amongst the area. One of them involved a felony pursuit with a stolen vehicle and somebody who was driving under the influence as well. That pursuit went around the freeway and off the streets a couple of times. Finally came to an end right at around Soledad Canyon Road in 14, where the suspect took foot bail, ran down an embankment, and our officers took chase and kind of lost him in the brush there, so they called out a canine. The canine came out, and probably due to the reasons of this person's intoxication or level of intoxication, he fought off the dog maybe about 4 different times. The dog, responded negatively by separating itself, but they finally prevailed and kind of shoot him up a little bit as he was trying to jump the fence and brought him back down. So we took him into custody. No injuries to any of the officers. The dog was okay after that. There was a drug-related arrest on the 21st around Sierra Highway and Steel. That one was just contraband found with a party who was also driving under the influence. And then lastly, we had another felony arrest on the 19th, which involved another stolen vehicle and another DUI driver who that person actually collided into some fixed object. So strangely enough, DUIs yield us felony arrests for the most part. People who are committing crimes continue to commit crimes, and if we catch them at a lower level crime, there's a good chance we'll catch them at a higher level crime. And that's the way it usually works for our department. We can, out of an infraction, simple infraction, something as simple as a speed stop, we can yield several felonies in wanted persons. I know speed definitely is a concern to most of the people here in these communities, especially on Sierra Highway, and of course, Dulce and Escondido. And our department definitely responds to those requests for service. As a matter of fact, we had a couple of complaints last month. We responded in force, on a random basis. I had the senior volunteers come out here, deploy the radar trailer on Sierra Highway, maybe once or twice. We had several other units respond to the area, as well as myself, and write some citations there. So we do hopefully take the load off of the community by being here and showing up and responding by writing citations and making arrests. As a result, actually citations for last month, I can tell you that there were just in the unincorporated parts of the Agua Dulce area, there were 49 citations issued there. There were 71 just on Sierra Highway alone. There were 5 on Soledad Canyon and 4 of them right here on Agua Dulce itself. Agua Dulce does get some attention, not as much as maybe Sierra Highway does, but we do give it some attention. And also I can share with you too some of the stats that we have, statistics that we have for speed related citations just in comparison to last year. And we'll look at the two months, May and April of 2012 and 2013. Last year in 2012, we had 2,205 speed citations in our area, which is the New Hall area, which covers all of Santa Clarita and Agua, Dulce, and as far north as Gorman. So 2,200 last year. April of this year, in comparison, we had 2,600. May of last year, we had 2,800 speed citations. May of this year, and this report was only produced on May 9th of 2013, so it only included 9 days of the month, and we already had 2,500 citations for this area. So we still have 22 days to account for the rest of the month. So we do, like I said, we respond to the communities, and communities when they're concerned will come out here and take care of business.
June, July, and August is probably the most fun time at the library, public libraries all across the nation. It's summer reading program, and that's when we do a lot of the really fun programs for the kids. There's a lot of chances to get incentives and get involved. The programming is a little bit more lighthearted. We have things like juggling and face painting and magicians in June. It kicks off next week. We're going to have fantastic Patrick, and he's kind of like a circus performer because he does unicycle and balloons and juggling. And our children's librarian, Vanessa, she's not here tonight, but she does that whole component. And then I work with the adults and teens, so I'm going to be doing some teen programs for SRP and handling the adult component, which is all online, and it's super easy for adults to earn incentives too. All you do is submit like 2-sentence book reviews, and you get credit for your reviews, and then when you reach a certain level, you come in and redeem for your incentive prize. For our other events, we had our first open mic night at the end of May, and we had 17 people, which was pretty good for our library. And we're going to have it as a continuing series for the summer. Summer Nights Open Mic. It'll be the last Friday of the month from 6 to 8. And we also have another new program starting this month, which is the teen/young adult writers group. Our adult writers group has been going along for quite some time now and has a really good core group of members. But the facilitator, Nicole, she wants to bring in some more teen, younger people, and we figured the summertime would be the perfect time to do that. So that's going to start in 2 more weeks. And then we did have William Zeitler come and perform on June 1st with the glass harmonica. That was a great program. We had close to 40 people, and I really wish more people would come, and I'm going to try to have him back because it's really an amazing instrument and he's very knowledgeable. And as for me, this past couple weeks, well, the past week, I went to a training on working with families with autism, and there's a lot of information that's kind of contrary to what we normally do as far as how you work with parents that have children with autism or adults that are on the autism spectrum. And so that was really eye-opening, and the county is really dedicated to not ignoring this portion of the population because there are so many more diagnoses than there have been in the past. And then yesterday I went to a presentation put on by the California State Library on teen digital literacy, and that was down at the LAPL Pio Pico Koreatown branch. So that had teen librarians from all around Southern California, and just talking about the different ways that teen digital literacy is being defined and how we can make it more productive, because they're definitely, obviously, digitally literate, but how does that translate to, better test scores, higher education attainment, marketable job skills? So that was a good presentation. And then our Sweetwater Vet Clinic series is still our most popular event, and the next topic is hoof care. So So I have gotten a short list of titles from the vets there, and then I did some research and did another supplemental title list, so we should be getting another 20 or so equine health books, and specifically ones for hoof care and horseshoeing, etc. Because there just really wasn't anything in the system. There was like 2 or 3 books and that was it. Okay. And I'm still working on the strategic plan. I'm one of many that are serving on committees within the library system to redo the county library strategic plan. Right now I am serving on the community engagement portion. Before I was doing the fostering creativity in the library, and now it's this. So it's not just about being more welcoming to, as far as like additional languages and additional cultures, but going out there, and they really want the library to move beyond the 4 walls of the library, essentially. So my portion is to look at innovative ways to do outreach in communities of all types, because again, it's kind of difficult to do a one-size-fits-all, because the county is so sprawling and huge and has so many diverse communities, and what would work here would certainly not work in other branches and vice versa. So trying to find the best ways to do outreach. And just to always remind people that I'm always available via email, and of course if I'm in the library you can come into my office or give me a call if you have suggestions about programming or materials or comments, complaints, anything like that. You're always welcome to talk to me. So, any questions?
Anybody have any questions? I'll go to this district report. Roslyn Wayne.
Hello. Couple things. The county budget will be approved this month. The budget this year is $24.7 billion. But just to give you an idea of how that money is spent, 30% of that money goes to health. Many departments cover that off in the county. 27% goes to public protection, that's sheriff, probation. And 25% goes to public assistance, housing, foster children. So you can see that leaves 18% left for everything else. And the health aspect gets more money than police protection, public protection. With Obamacare coming down the road, yeah, they're doing the best they can to prepare, but they know there's going to be some huge changes. We have a rainy day fund, and the county received the highest bond rating for a 3rd year in a row. So financially, we're in really good shape. We have the money we have, and that's it. It's kind of everybody's story. Clean water, clean beaches, y'all remember that?
Yes.
Kind of vaguely in your memory. Today, it is scheduled for the board on the 25th of July. So that's 2 plus a few days weeks. Well, barely 2 weeks. And it's unknown if we're going to organize buses or how we're going to do that, but something's going to happen. We're just not sure exactly what yet, so we will certainly email Mary and Dawn to let you know. Allegedly, this is just a report back. There should be no vote, because last time they said ixnay. However, a board member can always make a motion, something else. So we want to make sure that people are there, because you just don't know and it's too risky to leave it to chance. Let me ask you a question. There was some conversation about moving this to the next board meeting, which is July 2nd. Would it matter to you either way? The 25th is a shorter amount of time to get organized. July 2nd, have any reaction?
You mean July 2nd? Well, we wouldn't have a meeting between now and July 2nd, is the only concern I have.
Yeah.
You're talking about July or August?
No, June. June 25th.
June 25th.
June 25th.
Okay,
Okay, I'm sorry, June 25th is what is currently scheduled today.
Okay,
But there has been talk about it, seeing if it can be continued to the next board meeting,
yeah.
which is July 2nd.
Give us more time to organize the bodies. Is there any talk of any of the new reports that they're reporting back on being released prior to the meeting, or is that?
That's one of my questions that still is out there,
Okay.
is that I really want to be able to share that report back with the community before they get there.
Yeah.
So, ongoing process here. I'm not sure. So I'll be in touch with you. This is all just sort of flowering today.
Okay. So there isn't nothing set in stone yet as far as?
Well, right now it's June 25. I mean, we would have to request a continuance. So,
Okay.
it's politics, you know, so
Yeah.
we're not in charge. The supervisor of Santa Clarita office is looking for a student worker. This is a paid position. It's 30 hours a week. It has to be a college student. It can be a community college. And you have to be at school. And depending on how many units you've accumulated, the pay runs from $10 to the high $11 an hour. So if any of you have children's friends, acquaintances, please refer them to our office. We're going to start interviewing our current student workers going off to college at Irvine. So it's kind of a big commute. But it's a great experience for kids who want to learn more about community and politics and government and how things work and what really goes on in an office. And we keep them busy.
Good.
So I had a little trail message. I had written, I think those of you that were at the Vasquez opening, heard the supervisor talk about Memorial for Dale Redmond, and that was going to be next, so we all certainly scrambled to make sure we could get some information back. So what I have from Parks is that they are going to be purchasing the memorial items and all the construction materials between July and October. In August, they'll start site work, and they'll start installation of the memorial in October, early October 1st. So this is going to be tentative, okay, it's construction. And they say substantial completion October 31st. So I'm thinking we're going to have another event in November.
Okay.
Does that sound?
That's great.
Okay, so it'll be cool, it won't be hot.
Yeah.
Hopefully, anyway. So I will keep up on that and keep you abreast of the timing, but at least they're doing it. It's happening. I also brought, although I don't believe people in this community were affected by the fire, you may know people or have friends. So I have a news release from the Office of the Assessor that you could apply for tax relief and reassessment of your property. There are two forms. One is informational, and the form is on the back. So I'll leave these up here if you have anybody. There was a meeting, about 100 people showed up last night in Lake Elizabeth, and all the agencies and entities were there from state, federal, county, and it was a good meeting. People got a lot of questions answered, and they were able to vent a little bit.
I was going to say, did anybody hear about the little thing called the powerhouse fire?
Yeah.
Were you here when I talked about these?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll put them out.
That's just the assessors?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's another piece of information that, if you know people, again, it could be helpful about how to properly clear the ash and the hazardous materials that it creates. And so there's a document, if you need that or you know somebody who needs it, let me know, I'll give it to you. You may have been on the list, you and Gary already, or the whole group, I don't know, that received that.
I haven't seen it yet.
So if you need it, let me know, or I can just, do you want me to just plan on sending it to you? I'll send it to you. Okay. Yeah, so we just closed out the fire yesterday officially, and that just involved everybody coming together to get our final damage assessment report, which is a huge undertaking. As the fire begins to calm,
our damage assessment teams go out and do an extensive, agonizing, detailed report. So it's not just taking a copy of a house, a car, it's, you know, a portion of a car that's damaged or a portion of a roof on a house that's still perfectly standing. And so it's an agonizing report that they go over in detail, so we know exactly what's outbuildings and motorcycles has been affected. So just over 30,000 acres, I think you all probably know this, but for anybody who doesn't, just over 30,000 acres, $23.5 million later. The final analysis was 30 single-family dwellings and/or mobile homes destroyed, 28 outbuildings destroyed, 3 single-family and mobile homes damaged, and 1 outbuilding damaged. So destroyed structures 58, damaged structures 4. But one of the things that the damage assessment report does is indicates how many homes were not damaged and what that dollar amount is worth. I don't remember it right now, but I want to say it was 3,000 homes that were protected at a value of $270,000. Don't quote me, but it's something like that. And the firefight that goes into saving, you know, a majority of homes is pretty impressive. If you would like to see just a few very impressive photos of what our firefighters were dealing with at this fire, I just opened a new Division 3 Facebook page. So that is local fire stations. It's not just Agua Dulce, of course, because I have 880 square miles, 22 fire stations, 3 battalions. But if you would like to publish the Facebook page and send it out to the community, that'd be great. If you like the page, that helps me get input from what's working and what's not working. The more people that like it, the more demographics they pick up and send me feedback on. And the Facebook page is Los Angeles County Fire Department - Division 3. There's lots of fire department websites and pages. So if you just
Tell me that again.
Los Angeles County Fire Department - the dash, not the word dash, but dash, Division 3. And then you'll see a little graphic of our new Fire Station 150. And that's the Facebook page. And there's an album with 4 or 5 pictures in there that have some extremely impressive pictures. And we commented on a couple of the pictures, and one in particular was, "This is why we ask you to evacuate." And it shows what the fire is doing. It's just basically a massive wall of fire and power lines, and the road's cleared with fire equipment going up and down. And some things you just can't post because they're just too sensitive, but one of the chiefs that was on the strike team pulled me aside and showed me some video of when they were first in there the first night, and it is absolutely, they were backing out and videoing, trying to get away from the fire. They did not have time to make a U-turn on the street. And it was this just massive wall, fire all on this side, fire in front of them, just coming like a monster, and fast. And they're just backing up as quick as they can. 2 chiefs in one Wally wagon, 1 Suburban.
Wow.
So the few pictures that are there will give you a really good indication of what, you know, really how magnificent this was. We are seeing the kind of fire behavior now that we typically see in the late fall. Some people don't realize that most of our big fires are September, October, November, December. And we're seeing that kind of fire behavior now because of the fuels and the dry and the heat. And what that means for fall is everybody's really, really racing for that. So brush clearance. I mean, they walk by, and when you got a fire like that, they will walk by your house if they see stacks of wood or trees or branches on your roof. I brought more Ready, Set, Go guides. I think I say it constantly. But for those of you in the room that might not be familiar with this guide, there's some over there, and it's an easy step-by-step. I turned to a picture that looks complicated, but it's a real easy step-by-step that tells you exactly what to do to your home to protect it. So I really encourage you to get a copy of that.
Reference to based on our bylaws, being forced to hold an election when there are unopposed candidates. Say, for example, if there's 3 vacancies and there's 3 people who are interested in running, based on the way the bylaws have been interpreted, you have to have an election, which seems pretty silly. So what we're working on is proposing some changes to the bylaws to allow unopposed candidates to be declared elected without having to go through the election process. So, unopposed candidates aren't really listed in the bylaws right now. It just says insufficient candidates. But there's a real difference between insufficient and unopposed. Insufficient means there's not enough people to run, and you'd have to have a special election. Unopposed would mean that if there's candidates to run and they're unopposed, they could be automatically elected, and then any vacancies will be filled with a special election. So that's kind of the direction that we're going, if that seems to work. Before we worked on any actual bylaws changes, we just kind of wanted to get a consensus from the community if we're going in the right direction. So I guess maybe to kind of throw it out to anybody here, would you be opposed to having that type of change in the bylaws?
Any comments? Pro, con, don't care, sounds good. Okay, see a lot of head shaking. That's good. It's a
I
good
see
sign.
no opposition, so.
It's always a bottleneck every year when we don't have enough people, and it just drags on to where we have to have more application time. And, you know, Scott, when did you get seated? Was it in March or April?
March.
Was it March?
No, it was April.
It was
April
The
when election in March,
The election was in March.
and then seated in
Seated
April.
in- So, you know, he's coming in 4 months after he should have been seated. Had this process been in place, the ones who had their application in would have been seated at the end of that particular term, rather than having to wait 4 months and lose 4 months of their actual 2-year term. If there was a shortage of candidates and applicants, then we would be able to seat those that are willing to be on town council, and then still have a special election if there's more applications received and applicants approved, if there's more of those than the remaining seats that are available.
Thank you for allowing me to come and talk to you guys, since the discussion about the no man's land, where the boundaries are, because I am one of those people that is in Agua, Dulce, but I'm in the Acton Community Standards Board.
So you're in their boundaries?
I'm in their boundaries.
But you have an envelope.
Mary has looked at the map and told me that our property, our house, is the first one over the line into the Acton side.
Right, and this is the property that Lillian was talking about, that she got her section pulled out, but your section.
Right, and I was talking to Lillian, I think yesterday about it, and I was thinking back to, I remember seeing the stuff in the paper, and I think that's right around the time that my kids were,
That's what it was.
so,
Well,
you know,
you're here
there's
now.
not much you can do when you
Right.
when I have a couple little ones. I'm a former kindergarten teacher. I'm staying home with my kids right now. My name is Arlene Ruther. Sorry, I'm kind of paraphrasing. I'm here to ask the Agua Dulce Town Council to write a letter to the county opposing the cell tower. For lots of reasons, but primarily I'm concerned about my property values and my loss of my view. Yes, I have a very nice view. I invited the man from the cell tower company to come tonight, but he did not come. He said he didn't want to make it. This is just one schematic of what they've proposed. first over the line. The visual blight is my biggest concern. This is what our house looks at right now. I've kind of drawn a line where the tower is supposed to be based on what the schematics are. You can kind of see on the on it where our blue building is. It's not really in this picture, but here's one picture. And the tower is not to scale because it would probably be off the chart. It's huge. They want it to be 75 feet tall, which I think our building is, on this it says it's only 15 feet, I think, but I believe it is a little bit taller. But you can see in this, you can kind of see on this one, this building right here, this is our blue shed. The base is going to go up basically to almost the roof line and be above it. So this thing is absolutely enormous. It's against the Acton standards for height, their height requirements. Sorry, I need to stick to my, because it has everything. The Acton standards say 35 feet, except for chimneys and pole antennas, which may not exceed a height of 45 feet. I know our standards, or the Agua Dulce standards, are in process, so I don't know what our requirements are for Agua Dulce. Does anyone know? Or is that even something that's even in there?
Yeah.
The main reason I'm here, and I feel that the Agua Dulce Town Council has a say, is in the conditional use permit application, they put the Agua Dulce standards as well as the Acton standards in, they submitted them with the application.
Okay.
They did do that. And it also violates the standards for the county. The county standards state that the community standards go, if not them, if there is no community standards, then it goes to the county, and the county is, I think, 16 feet above the existing roof line. So if our existing roof line is 16 feet or 15 feet, I think as they say, then it should be no higher than 35 or 40 feet, and this to be 75. This is looking southwest out our door. You can see. It says it's supposed to be an 8-foot fence, so even though I have a 5-foot fence here, it's probably going to be taller than a 5-foot fence, and it's going to be black boards all the way around, 8 foot high. So I know our standards also, even including the Acton standards, state that you're not supposed to have, you're supposed to have view so that you can see through things. And I understand the reasoning behind having them not, it has to be sealed up. But I'm worried I'm going to be looking down over the top into this bunker, basically, because I'm up above it.
So it looks like a cargo container, kind of like, is that what
Yeah,
you're
I've
saying?
kind of seen them on the side of the freeway and stuff, and that's what they look like. That's what the schematics, when you look down on it, there's just big squares. And they do make noise. The man said that they don't make noise, but they do. There's air conditioners that run to keep the equipment cool, which is a noise. It makes noise. Here's the corner lot. That's looking north or southeast.
Do you know if that was the property where they want to go?
Yes, I do. Some of the concerns we have, not just the height, but we want to protect what the hillsides look like. And they're saying, oh, it's going to be camouflage, it's going to match the ground. It's supposed to be 50 feet wide. If it's 50 feet wide, you can't put other trees around it to camouflage it in any way. You can see it from all directions. I don't know, a lot of you have seen, we live right at Sierra Summit, we have a big blue shed. It's obnoxious, I know I didn't build it, I didn't pick the color. It would be a different color if I had built it. So some of these pictures are from Sierra Summit. This one is the far east end of Hyurba. You can see how tall it's going to be above our building, and they're claiming that it's going to be camouflaged by the tall trees behind. My tall trees are back here. You can see them on the road, and they're crooked.
There's really no trees anywhere.
There's no trees in the vicinity. There's some far behind it, 200 feet away, but not that close. And mine are on the other side, which is almost 200 feet away, and they're on top of a hill, and they're still going to be dwarfed by this tower. This is from the top of Dusty Drive, looking down across, so from where Lillian lives. And here's the view from northbound on Sierra Highway. If you're driving northbound on Sierra Highway, there's one view, and then here's a little bit, here's where the cliff went backwards. And I realize that I'm in the Acton Standards Board, and I apologize for taking your time up, but allowing the tower to be built will set a bad precedent for the community as a whole to keep out future unwanted development. A couple of my neighbors do want it, and I don't really think they understand the implications for our future, for the noise, the visual blight. I don't, they want cell service. And I want cell service as much as the next person, believe me, but this is unbelievably huge. It's going to destroy our property values. And the man says, oh, it's not going to destroy your property values, it shows that they're going to go up. It's not true. Every piece of research that you look at, every real estate agent, I even talked to a real estate agent in Acton, and she said, oh, I'm not, I don't really understand what you mean, why is it going to be so bad, it's down in the corner, and then she got to my house, and she was like, yeah, absolutely. She was not able to come tonight, but this is a key opinion about property values. Here's the research that was done. It was done in Florida. This guy just paraphrases it. But the actual research was, there was 2 research studies that have been done. One was done in New Zealand, which was more of a similar topography to what we have. And the other one in Florida was done in a suburb. So in New Zealand, people aren't used to seeing, big obnoxious towers and industrial equipment like what we would have here. Our businesses are the same. And it does drop property values up to 20%. The light and noise pollution, I'm concerned about the noise. Obviously, the air conditioners that are going to run 24/7. I can hear my neighbor's little fountain that goes on. He's up the hill a little bit from me. So now in the dead of night, when the only thing you hear is an occasional car go by, it's going to have a fan running all the time. So it's going to be ambient noise all the time. I certainly didn't move out here to listen to ambient noise like that. And I know most of us didn't. We like the quiet, we enjoy the quiet, it's beautiful. And with all areas of Acton and Agua Dulce, we do have very high winds. Mike was telling me over here that his neighbor on the top of your hill clocked
137 mile an hour winds in the last
big storm.
right by Lillian's house. Lillian's direct Bob.
Sorry, Lillian, you're our landmark. This is a tower that fell down in Illinois, and they say 80 to 90 miles an hour, and I would not be surprised if we get that. I have one of those windometers to measure wind, and a nice breeze it's 20, and then the winds really start going. It's crazy, and they do work on them. I know Scott has said that they work on the one next to his across the freeway at nighttime all the time. So this is a proposed multiple carrier tower. If there's 4 carriers, there's going to be 4 people visiting once a month. Are they going to be doing it at night? They can come whenever they want. And that's a huge loss to me. It destroys my privacy at least 4 times a month. It's horrible. And I know it can't be taken into consideration, but I am concerned about health effects for my family. I'm very concerned. I know that was brought up. I'm not so much concerned about the EMF as the radio frequencies, because it's microwaves.
Now, have you talked to, all the other neighbors of the same opinion that you are, I mean, have you got like a little coalition group that's
I have
fighting
the
this,
two,
or
the
what?
two that are, there's pictures from their property, the two down below, they are not happy. I'm working on starting to get a petition. I actually have an appointment on Friday with an attorney to see if I'm gonna go with hiring an attorney or not. We kind of feel like we don't really have a choice, because I can't in conscience live next to that if it goes up. But then, if we move, there's, where are we gonna go, So we really feel like we're being driven from our house, and
Have they offered any kind of compensation?
they've offered nothing.
You
Absolutely
haven't
nothing.
got a return phone call back?
I haven't called and said, hey, offer me something, I haven't done that. I don't know if I should, I don't really know,
Well, you're not interested in something if you don't want it there.
I don't really want it there, period. I really just don't want it there. In the application, there's a lot of mistruths in the application, like to almost blatant lies. It says
Right,
that
'cause it
this
indicates-
residence is 400 feet away. I am not 400 feet away. It's written as if my house doesn't exist, and it implies that the shop that is ours belongs to the homeowner that's that's leasing the land.
So
Right,
they're misrepresented.
It's very misrepresentative.
It's much closer to your property and your home than it is to the person who owns.
Oh, yes.
Property that's-
Yes,
that's
they're
leasing.
400 or 500 feet away.
That's,
So it doesn't affect him at all,
No.
but it's affecting you.
He's not gonna hear the air conditioning, he's not gonna hear anything.
He just gets a check in the mail.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I know the two neighbors down below, I know there are some people over across Dusty Drive that my husband has talked to. I know Mike lives there. There's another person at the top, a couple of the people that we've verbally spoken to said they would sign a petition. I don't know how many people I can get there, but, I'm,
without having the applicant here, it's hard to have a real logical discussion because then, they need to ask him.
of course.
But my main question is, across the street over on the other side of Sierra Highway,
Mhm.
there's a great big hill that's much higher than 75 feet. If they
This was
would
brought
put it,
up at the last town council meeting. There are two, at Acton, there's two other sites available to them.
right, if they would
But
put
they
it
haven't
up
even
on the
stated where they are.
hill, you wouldn't need it to be 75 feet.
Right, that's exactly right, probably.
So obviously, I hate to say this, but I think the people who own this property are really pushing for this location. They want the cell service, they want it, they've got the vacant land, they want to put it there. It's not, in my mind, the best location when you've got the big hill right across the street.
To really take a stand, we need to agendize this, publish it, that we're going to be discussing not only this, but all future cell sites. And let's face it, a lot of people out here use their cell phones. So we've got to take that into consideration. My heart goes out to you because obviously you bought the house, you bring your family there, everything's great, and all of a sudden, oh, you're doing this. It's just like the people that are faced with a high-speed rail now.
I know.
Just like we were back in 1976 when they put the first set of power towers through. They said, oh, it'll actually improve the value of your property. They tried to, in fact, because it'll improve it, they didn't want to pay us anything for our property. But they offered as a concession $1,000 for 1 acre. And I said, I'll buy every acre for $1,000 you can find around Dulce. But that was, we didn't have any people out here then, so they steamrolled it right through.
And I agree that we do need service. I do not, believe me, I do. But I have a satellite dish now, and my satellite dish does what I need it to do.
Yeah.
It's not candy wave, I send the information to Mary because it's fast, it's really fast. It's Exceed, I think, by Wellboot, and it works fantastic. So,
Can we write a letter that at this meeting, we had a presentation from a concerned resident that is faced with these specific points that need to be addressed? I mean, I'm trying to think of how we can word this.
She's for cell service, she's not sitting right on top of her house.
Yeah, but then it's gonna, how about then it moves to the next piece of property, is that person gonna be in the same boat? So it's something, if we're gonna address this as a town council.
I'm opposed to how gigantic it is.
Yeah.
Right,
It is
and that's-
enormous, and they're
that's why
claiming that there's no noise. They're claiming that I don't live there. They're claiming that it's not a fire hazard. They even state, so they go so far as to state that we're not in a fire zone.
Well, the
On the
utility,
application, it says we're not in a fire zone. I'm sorry, I just paid that state responsibility area bill. I think we are in a fire zone.
the utility lines are more of a fire hazard than that thing will ever be. And, I mean, when you talk about you don't want the transmission lines, is everybody gonna give up their power? Is everybody gonna shut off their electricity? No. They're necessary.
But no, we don't get a bit of power from that. You know,
It
that's.
doesn't matter. Everybody, if you I understand, I worked in the power industry for 42 years. I'm retired from the Department of Water and Power.
Right,
This infrastructure needs to be there to make everything operate.
right.
Well, then
The power from
make an
Castaic
offer
or
for my
wherever,
property.
from Boulder, it all goes on the system and it's all taken on. And that's where people don't understand. It's like the meters. The meters aren't a problem, but everybody doesn't want them.
Right.
It's a lack of understanding. Those utility lines are more of a fire hazard than that tower will ever be. Those transformers cause fires all the time.
We just had a big
But you're not gonna give up the electricity, are you gonna, is everybody gonna turn off all their power at their house?
Do you have to look at this structure? from your
Yeah, I can
perspective?
see it from my house.
Is it impeding any kind of view that you might have?
I'll tell you what, I can't, see, everybody has a different perception. We don't all perceive things the same.
Right.
My suggestion would be, there's one right on Sierra Highway just past Vasquez.
I understand, it's a simple
Look at
question.
it.
It's a simple question. Is it impeding the view that you have?
No, it doesn't impede.
Would you hear the air conditioners running?
Well, I could hear my neighbor's air conditioning run as much as I could hear that
If you
run.
had young children in the backyard 20 feet away from it, a 5 and a 7-year-old like I do, would you be comfortable with that?
Yeah,
You would be.
yeah, because
With
I
all the
understand.
studies of cell phone radiation and things like that?
It's not a hazard. No more than, I mean,
Yeah, I'm just raising questions.
Yeah,
These are
I'm just
These are
saying-
her views and her questions, and
Yeah.
I'm putting them to you. It seems to me that you have some valid points, but you're not living right underneath the thing. I mean, this woman has to,
I'm
with young
just,
children.
but when people explain things that aren't true, I'm gonna make a statement about
What
it.
if I said that's not
That
true?
radiation is not gonna injure anybody.
That's EMF.
That's right.
What about the radio frequencies? They're microwaves.
Well, the microwave, yeah.
That's what radio frequencies are.
No, there's a difference.
Everything I've seen and written and everything that I've read is radio frequencies equal microwaves.
Well, I mean, you can bring up all kinds of things on the internet.
I'm just
that
saying
aren't
the research
necessarily
I've
true.
done, that's what I found.
I worked on 500,000 volt systems.
Those are
For
EMF.
years, huh? It's much more, it's 1,000 times worse. It's 1,000 times worse. I did for years. I'm 62 years old. I'm still healthy. I mean, you know, realistically, that's not true. There's no lighting on it. And air conditioning, we all have air conditioners
I don't.
outside our house.
I don't.
Well, how many people do? Most people
But I
do.
don't. And my home doesn't run an air conditioner, and so therefore I'm not listening to an air conditioner to drown out the noise of an air conditioner that's next door to me.
The only thing I'm saying is you have a valid point about the looks of it. But when you bring up these other issues, they're not valid points.
The
It
loss of my
falling
property
down is
value
not a
isn't,
valid point.
the loss of my property value isn't a valid point?
I don't know about that. I didn't say anything about that. I'm saying that the lighting, there's no lighting on it. People have air conditioners. They're legal.
I didn't say there was lighting on it. I'm concerned about them coming and shining bright lights on it while they're working on it.
Oh, they'll do that if you have a utility problem too, going down the road, or a telephone problem. I mean, these things have to be maintenance like anything else.
Yeah, but they don't put it right on your property.
It's on the neighbor's property, but it is right next to me.
Well,
She has a right
we're not talking about her right or her dislike or his like or his dislike. The town council is speaking the voice of the community. And so the only way we can do this is to agendize it and hear, you know, once we made the community aware that we're going to discuss this, and then we get the input, and then we can take a vote, and even then, our letter has to be that, you know, it wasn't 100% in favor or opposed, this was the voice of the community. it sounds to me like in your situation, that they've misled you with a lot of facts that aren't true.
These are the things that the man stated at the last meeting.
Yeah.
You know, it's gonna improve my property value, it's gonna be this, it's gonna be,
Yeah.
everything.
Even the way they went
It's
about
not gonna improve the value, I can tell you
No,
that.
it certainly will
Yeah.
not. I mean, my real estate agent, as soon as she got there, she was like, oh,
Yeah. Well,
Okay,
I see what you're talking
this-
about.
The conditional use permit, bottom line, is just because it's 75 feet tall. That's your
Correct.
only reason, that's the only reason
That's-
why.
because it wasn't 75, it
It
was.
wasn't
No,
75.
because the county is
So-
not that high.
Okay.
I think that should be our concern.
Well, here's the things that bother me, just the fact that all the things on our application that are absolutely false. I mean, barring anything else, I mean, if that's the case, right there is an issue. Just these falsities that are
Well,
on
it's the
this
second
application.
time we've been misled.
With the application.
This has happened before,
Right.
and we wrote a letter, I think we came up with a compromise.
Right.
That was the cell phone company's own compromise with Plan B. And then they went and testified at the hearing that Plan B was not feasible.
Right.
And then they went ahead with Plan A, which nobody wanted.
Yeah, it's true. You know, basically, they have to give alternatives when they submit their.
Right, but there really are no specific alternatives in the application that I can find.
It kind of, it mentions that they did
Right, but there's
research
no-
on this, and they did
There's
research on
no
there.
specific site address, like there was in the other one, so I can see where the application is lacking in clarity, and also, it sounds like, honesty. I've tried to contact the planner, Anthony Kersey, who is the planner who was on the last cell phone tower, and we haven't connected. I'm just not sure how to proceed, because without the applicant here, we can't really have a logical discussion, because he can't really counter. Right. So, my suggestion would be have they determined a date for the hearing yet?
Not as far as I know.
I think we should, because it is adjacent, the property right next to it is in the Agua
In our
Dulce.
CSD, so we would be talking about
It
the
is-
rights of that person.
Right. And also, the people who can benefit from it. It's on, because I know you're in Agua Dulce, in the CSD, so, we have.
I'm not too far from the site. And there are other people that aren't too far from the site that aren't opposed to it. And I do understand her position as far as the looks of it. It's a big, tall thing. And that would be, that's the only thing that I can see being.
But it's
But
not
see,
so
the
much
thing is
her
it's
big tall
you,
thing,
it's-
it's the next one's gonna be a big, I mean, to me, it seems like they're stretching it as far as they can, even if they don't need that location, they're gonna get this land where they can.
Right.
It's kind of where it's at. So, it's something where, yes, we're looking at her particular situation, but this may begin to occur time and time again.
1 to 10, boom.
You know, so.
Right, because
it's-
our stand in the past has been to co-locate. I think we, in the communities, has been supportive of co-locating.
Where several
Where there's
AT&T,
existing-
Verizon, they all use the
And
same.
that's what this is supposed to be, is a co-lake locatable, which is probably why they want it to be so large, so they can fit as many of the things that they need
Yeah,
on
and
it.
I don't even know how those things, I don't wanna know how those things work, but I know
No,
that
I
it's.
don't
Well,
either.
in order to be, it's got to be that tall in order to head all the way down towards my way.
But the
And
thing
to
is,
have-
that's just the top tower, that's just
I
the top.
think that's our first step. Does that make sense?
That makes sense to me. That way we get, that would be ideal, because if he's the one that did the other one, then the people
got
that were misled there too can be at this meeting. And,
They said they were misled as well at the meeting, right?
Yeah. But just an FYI, you heard Rosalind indicate that physical presence is key at the hearing.
when we had the Clean Waters, Clean Beaches thing go down, we went down the first time, there was about 200, maybe 250 from our area here, Santa Clarita. 850 people were opposed to it that showed up at the meeting. So that, but I think definitely we can request more facts from the applicant, and then maybe in the same time we can get a hold of more of the paperwork.
Right, and maybe we ask the planner to be here along with the applicant.
That's right. Yeah.
What about the community?
Oh, absolutely, and that's why.
If they say yes,
Right.
then this will go into the agenda at night, and anybody has any questions, pro, con, against, for, don't care, they should be here to have their questions answered. And then we can take a consensus of the community, then we can write a letter, even though this is a little questionable because it's out of our CSD area, but still, these aren't, you know, there's going to be more and more that happen in our CSD area.
And the position that we would probably take is that we neither support nor oppose it, but here are the comments.
The comments that were received from testimony.
You know, you're looking for additional cell coverage. It's the worst spot in the world to put it. You know, those sorts of things.
Yeah.
That's really what we as a council are planning to do, is to pass those comments on, so that the person who's making that decision takes all that into consideration.
And realize it's not just an individual's letter. Now it did come from a community, and a community having a community meeting. So
I move to write a letter to the planner to have the applicant and planner present at a future meeting.
Second. Ooh. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Now, what was that about the OBO? The
OBO.
reason that it ended up at Acton's council meeting? Because that I didn't understand why it was happening over there.
OBOD is Santa Clarita area plan that was adopted
That's
in
what it
November by the Board of Supervisors. In that plan, they drew boundaries as to what areas OBOD speaks for. Antelope Valley's OBOD version is called Town and Country Plan. They're still working on that. That's all still a draft. So our concern was, we were told that where the property lines were drawn for those parcels that are in OBOD, they would not change. Well, when Town and Country's map came out, they showed that those lines were changed, and some of the areas that were in OBOD now we're in the Town and Country, which would have changed the whole playing field, because there were some concerned people that we tried to deal with Acton to get them to release some parcels so that the line would be straight, so that it would just go right straight through and it would make sense. They said no, because they didn't want to open up their bylaws, CSD. If they open it up, then they could lose it or something like that. So they rejected that offer. But these people that were kind of in this limbo land felt confident and a little more comfortable because they were in the OVOV plan rather than the Town and Country plan. So their voice would actually be heard through this town council, through to the OVOV section. Well, when these boundaries changed, that changed everything. So Roslyn says that OVOV is not going to change because that's actually in effect. And they can't just change just because they drew their map boundaries over areas that were in OVOV. Those will be corrected when their final map gets done. So, from what
But
she's...
bottom line, I think the applicant should have presented to both councils.
Yeah,
Because it's right.
absolutely.
It affects coverage
Yeah.
In
in
both
our
areas.
area, it affects
This is
view,
from the OBOV,
it
right?
affects,
No,
You sure?
It's in the town.
their town,
I'm
their
town
AD,
country.
yeah, their.
I'm Acton.